Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So it's an honor to have you here. We'll be starting the session in 10 minutes.
No problems.
So as soon as the moderator, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai ji joins us, we'll be beginning with the session.
Absolutely. No problems. I'm in no hurry. It's Sunday, so not a problem. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So just out of curiosity, I want to ask you, how does your daily routine look like? I mean, all of us would want to know that.
Well, these days, for the last 1 year, because of COVID-19, because I am running my 75th year, my children didn't want me to go out. So my wife and I, we have been totally secluded at home. Our cooks, our security people, they all live with us in our house. So I conduct at least a couple of sessions every day with my office colleagues and sometimes people like you. I read a little bit. I read physics, mathematics, computer science, etc. And I sleep early. I sleep by 9 o'clock. I get up by 6:30. So nothing exciting like you people, and nothing earth-shaking.
Right, sir. So it's good to hear that you still read. I mean, learning never really stops. And these are some things that we can learn from legendary people like you. Even at this age, your one of the major priority tasks is to learn and read every day.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's something that we all can learn.
One thing I have learned in the last 1 year, I've been reading more than I used to do before. Every day I have realized how small, insignificant, and uninformed I am. I mean, it is just unbelievable. Thanks to, I have about 1,500 books on my Kindle, and I have probably about 5,000 books, physical books. And, it's just unbelievable. This morning, while I was walking, I was reading a popular science book by an astronaut about space science. It is just unbelievable. Every day I'm realizing how small I am, how silly I am, and how stupid I am. That's.
So if you are saying it, I don't know what can we call ourselves then.
No, I personally think that you people are better than me and better than people of my age because you have access to so much of information thanks to internet.
True.
And you have access to probably 250 TV channels, you have internet access, I mean, you have so much access to knowledge. So therefore, I personally think that you people are so much more accomplished than definitely what I was when I was your age. That about that there is no doubt, no argument. But even otherwise, I think as as I keep growing older, my ability to absorb has reduced.
Right.
Today, I take 1 hour to solve a mathematics problem, which when I was your age, I used to do probably in 5 or 10 minutes.
Hmm.
It is in some sense good because time flies. So, but it is also showing me that the modern day youngsters are so much smarter than we are. That's what I find.
So I think it's not about smartness, it's about the facilities that we have, the access to resources that we have due to the social media and the internet. It's, I think, more because of that.
No, whatever be the reason, Yogya, the reality is access to information, a access to funding for accessing that information is what makes youngsters smart. Today, for example, if our cricketers are doing well,
Hmm.
part of the reason is that there is a lot of money in India. This was not there, I mean, when Gavaskar was playing, when G.R. Vishwanath played, he was one of the finest players. But they didn't have money. They couldn't prepare pitches. They couldn't train them, all of that. So therefore, whatever be the reason, today's youngsters are definitely smarter than us, definitely.
So, actually, the moderator, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, is here.
Yeah,
So, therefore, I would
wonderful.
want to start with the formal session.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Morning,
So,
sir.
Well, hi, Rajdeep. What a
And
pleasure.
morning, Yagya. Morning.
good morning, sir. How are you?
Rajdeep is a constant presence in our house because we look forward to his 9 p.m. news on Monday to Friday
Everyone does.
because he enhances our confidence in our democracy by his objective, data-based presentation of facts. So therefore, Rajdeep is always there with us in our drawing room.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Very kind. Happy Easter to everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Happy Easter to everyone. I'm ready, Rajdeep, entirely at your service. My only
Yes,
one request in the end,
yes,
I want to play a song.
sure.
So, Yogya, you will have to enable me access to share the screen.
Sure, sir. That would not be a problem.
Okay, okay.
And Yagya, how will the questions, where can I, in case you have questions, will you all put it on the box, on the chat box?
Yeah. In case people want to ask questions, they'd come on the chat box.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
I think, Rajdeep, the reality is that given that we have half an hour,
Sir,
given that they have already given me 6 or 7 questions,
okay.
I don't know whether there will be any more time for other questions.
Sure. We'll play it by ear. We'll play
Yeah,
it by ear.
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would want to introduce Mr. Narayana Murthy. To everybody, we have among us the father of IT sector, the co-founder of Indian tech giant Infosys, and one of the most admired Indian businessmen, none other than legendary Mr. Narayan Murthy. He's a perfect example of humility, hard work, and insurmountable talent. Under Mr. Murthy's leadership, Infosys became the leader in innovation in technical and leadership training, software technology, as well as customer focus and employee satisfaction. Sir has been honored with Padma Vibhushan and Padma Shri, the second and the fourth highest civilian awards in the country. A philanthropist at heart, working towards expanding the horizons of the country through technical innovation and entrepreneurship opportunities, Mr. Murthy's indispensable work experience makes him an inspiration for Indian youth and an icon to several budding leaders across the globe. So it's not just a privilege, but an absolute honor to have you among us. To moderate the session, we have Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, a personality that we see on our television every day, just like Mr. Narayan Murthy sir said. He's a senior journalist, the author of the best-selling book 2014, The Election That Changed India. He has 26 years of journalistic experience in print and TV. Presently, he is a consulting editor with the India Today Group and anchors a primetime show on India Today. Specializing in national politics, Mr. Sardesai has won numerous awards for journalistic excellence, including the prestigious Padma Shri for journalism in 2008. We are elated to have you as the moderator, sir. And with this, I want to hand it over to you.
Can I add one sentence?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sure, sir.
A great son of a great father.
Well, Mr. Murthy, I saw you in the introduction speak about cricketers of the 1970s and how they didn't have money and facilities. I can tell you in the 1960s, when
Yes.
my father played for India, they were paid 150 rupees or 250 rupees a test match. And once when they finished a test match in 4 days, 50 rupees was cut because they said, why do you need to finish? If you finish it in 4 days, you're paid 50 rupees per day. So they won the match in 4 days against New Zealand and 50 rupees was cut. So those are the days from the 1960s to where we are today in 2021, where everyone seems to be a crorepati who plays the game. But thank you so much, Yagya, for this kind introduction. And it is wonderful this Sunday morning on Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everyone, to have one of the icons of India's IT sector. And indeed, really an icon of Indian industry and the possibilities that exist if you run industry with a truly humane face. Mr. Narayan Murthy, appreciate your joining us, Mr. Murthy. Wonderful to have you here today with the SRCC students. Just to start, because we're looking at India's emergence as a global tech hub, I want to ask you at the very outset, do you believe we have reached that stage where we can be truly called a global tech hub? Or is this still a journey that is on its way to a final destination?
You know, Rajdeep, I am not used to superlatives. I am not used to words that we say about ourselves. So all that I can say is that India has started on a good footing, but we have a long, long way to go. The only way we can get respect in the eyes of the Committee of Nations is through performance, like China has done. So if we can enhance our exports, if we can address the basic needs of the poorest of the poor in the country, like education, healthcare, nutrition, and shelter for the poorest child in the remotest village, then I believe we can say that we have done reasonably well.
But what is, again, to use the cricket paradigm, if I were to compare the 1960s with today, the remarkable change, what change have you seen from the time you started in the late 70s, early 80s with Infosys to where Infosys, of course, is today as one of the world's leading iconic institutions in India and the world when it comes to the IT sector. What's the most dramatic changes that you have seen?
Well, that change can be seen amongst youngsters. During our time in 1970s and very early 80s, if you went to IIM Ahmedabad, that's what I am quite familiar with, or you went to IIT Kanpur, that's another institution that I knew. If you said you want to become an entrepreneur, people simply assume that you didn't get a job. They pitied you in some nice way, some overtly, but most covertly. But from that scenario, today we have moved to a situation where everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Every student from IIT Kanpur, from IIM Ahmedabad, other IIMs, other IITs want to be an entrepreneur. No, not only are these people excited to become entrepreneurs, but even their parents are excited. And to take it to the extreme, even their parents-in-law are excited. Once upon a time, about even 20 years ago, everybody was somewhat worried about giving their daughters to somebody who was an entrepreneur or who wanted to be an entrepreneur. But that has changed. In some sense, that sums up what modern India is all about. Modern, educated, urban India is all about. That's what I will say.
So you see the glass in that sense as half full, Mr. Murthy, because you started up by saying that we still have a journey to undertake before we reach the pinnacle. Or I know you say you're not in favor of, of making dramatic statements, but do you believe that the glass is half full when it comes to India's potential as a global IT hub?
The story of India has been, at least for the last 70 years that I am familiar with, that is at least from 1951, 52 onwards, has been one of potential. I think it is time we converted that potential energy to kinetic energy. It is time we converted that potential to reality. And for us to do that, we have to bring about a cultural change. Cultural change in terms of proactive problems around us, in terms of in terms of removing corruption, in terms of honesty, in terms of meritocracy of politicians, in terms of respect for performance, in terms of less talk and more achievement. I think these are all things that still need to be done. But the fact that the glass is half full itself is a good thing, because our task is only to fill half the glass. To that extent, I am quite enthusiastic. But there is a lot of work. I am not given to superlatives. I don't believe in boasting. I have always believed, as you know, Rajdeep, under promise, over deliver. I think that is a good philosophy.
That's a good mantra, under promise, over deliver, for indeed all our budding entrepreneurs. But Mr. Murthy, what will it take to fill that glass? What do you believe is the key for India to take the next step in this journey towards becoming a global IT hub?
First of all, our education system has to change. I'm glad that Dr. Kasturi Rangan and Dr. Manjul Bhargav, they have all come together, they have produced that new education policy. I hope that the new education policy will convert our education system to make our youngsters proactive problem solvers. Let me give you a couple of examples. Around 140 years ago, 150 years ago, people in Europe and in the US asked a very simple question. Why is it we are not able to hear somebody who is 2 miles away from him or her? What is it that we can do? How can we use technology? And they invented telephone. Around 85 years ago, around middle 30s, the military people in the US and in England, they asked another question. They said, why is it we are not able to see what is happening 100 miles from where we are? What technology can we invent? And they invented television. So therefore, my desire for India, my prayer for India is to change our education system to make our youngsters proactive problem solvers. They have to observe the context around them. They have to understand the lacunae in the context and find solutions. Let me give you another data point. About 7, 8 years ago, a very famous multi-billionaire philanthropist in the US wanted to provide inexpensive clean water for villages in Asia and Africa. He didn't come to any of the IITs. He went to Caltech. So you have to ask, why is it that our institutions have not worked on our problems? For example, chikungunya is a typical Indian or African Asian problem, but we have not solved it. So therefore, I would say we have to create an education system. Second, our culture has to change towards performance, towards less boasting, towards respect for others who have performed better than us, towards meritocracy. No, I am all for helping the people who are left behind because of our caste system. No, I'm not against it. But there are ways of solving those problems. I have conducted an experiment when Meena Kumar was the Minister for Social Justice. I demonstrated that. But those are all difficult problems, difficult solutions. We are we'll say, no, like Haryana government did, no, whatever. If you want to operate in Haryana, then you have to 75% of the jobs should go to Haryana people. Whether there are people who are qualified or not, that is a difficult problem to solve. But you can pass a legislation in 2 minutes. Anyway, let me stop here.
Interesting, because I think in a way what you're suggesting is that we need to sort of transform our education culture and, dare I say, our political culture as well. Yeah. Wherein we don't sort of incentivize quality. I would just wanted to ask you this, Mr. Murthy, that engineering, a profession that when you were presumably growing up was most sought after.
Yeah.
Many believe that today's children, today's younger generation in SRCC have far more options than just IIM and IIT potentially. Yeah. Why is engineering losing its sheen, you think? Do you think today's young engineers are less trained than the engineers of your generation, less passionate? Would I be right or wrong in saying that?
No, I would say, Nehru had a great vision. He started Bakranakal, then he started, atomic energy. He started steel plants, many of those things. So there were a lot of opportunities for engineers in the 50s, because we were also not producing enough engineers those days. So the engineers were at a premium. Then came 70s when India discovered the magic of MBAs. Thanks to Ravi Mathai and a few other leaders, MBAs became the need of the hour, and there was premium on, in salary and all of that for MBAs. Then came the IT industry after liberalization in 91, and the demand for computer science experts went up. And because there were not that many computer science people, engineers were taken and trained. But then parallelly, as you know, Rajdeep, better than I do in economics, as the demand increases, the supply also increases, and you get an equilibrium point where the price is fixed. So similarly, in India, unfortunately, what happened was, in the middle 90s and early 2000s, the supply of engineers increased, all kinds of colleges came up, and the quality of engineering graduates went up. But even today, if there are good quality engineers, then they get anywhere between 50 per year, which is not bad. So my belief is that if there are good quality engineers, they will have no problems. The problem, therefore, the solution is for our engineering colleges to improve the quality of engineering graduates.
So you don't think that somewhere this revolution, in a sense, has devoured its own, this IT revolution post-liberalization? Because as you said, there was this large supply which was outstripping demand at times, and it became a bit of a garage factory rather than sort of incentivizing quality. You don't think somewhere there's been a mismatch? Do you believe that the IT sector also needs to step back and reward and incentivize quality rather than saying, look, we'll just take thousands of young engineers every year?
Well, there are companies that go to a college and say, we'll take every one of you. We don't even see. Infosys is one of those rare companies that says, we want to conduct a test for you before we. I don't know whether Infosys does it now or not. At least as long as I was there, it used to do. But I'm told that now companies go to colleges and say, we'll recruit everybody and his brother. But their salaries are very low. They give somewhere around 4.5 lakhs per year. That is low salary today. So the solution is to improve the quality of engineers, to go to the market, which is mainly in the West for Indian engineers, and then say, we will tackle leading edge problems for you, but we need higher rates or higher consulting fees. And then you can give better salaries for our people. But if we stick to basic work, then naturally it is difficult to demand high salaries, high fees, and consequently high salaries.
Because I think a lot of young people are concerned of the gaps or the salary differentials that exist between those at the very top and a sort of sweatshop culture that almost comes in at the bottom. Then people change jobs every year, 2 years, just looking for salary incentives, and there is no institutional commitment or commitment to the institution that you've joined. How do you sort of break this sort of divide that exists when it comes to salaries and ensure that you can grow in an institution, create institution more than just a sweatshop?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. At least when I was at Infosys, we tried to introduce some kind of a fast track. But we could hardly find, out of the 4,000 people that we tested, hardly 1 or 2. Now I don't know what the situation is. But I believe that even today, some of the students who are good and picked up from some well-performing institutions like IITs, they get twice to three times the salary of other students. It is there. Such a meritocracy exists, but those numbers are small.
You mentioned about education and the importance of it. You've reflected on the new education policy. We've heard the likes of Bill Gates saying India needs to do better. We pump in a lot of money, Mr. Narayana Murthy, into education. Do you think that it's not just about the quantum of money we are pumping in, but ensure that money is more effectively utilized, which is the challenge of our times. I look at the schooling system. Again, there seems to be a factory approach. Everyone, less space for creativity, for encouraging people to think out of the box.
No, as I pointed out, Rajdeep, the need of the day is to relate what is taught in the classroom first towards understanding the nature. What is the meaning of saying sun rises in the east? Why is there a rainbow? What is the meaning of a rainbow? Then what do we mean by eclipse? In other words, our children should first try to understand the nature around us. The second step is to look at the lacunae in our context. Why do we have chikungunya around us? Why is our agricultural productivity so low? Why do we have so much of malnutrition in the country? So if our youngsters start thinking of problems that exist around us and solve rather than writing some stupid papers for some American journal, I think our country will become a better country. That is the biggest issue.
Sure, because Mr. Murthy, people say that the intellectual elite of India in a way is now in Silicon Valley. That the best and brightest still prefer to become entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. Do you agree with that, or do you think that's an exaggeration?
No, my view is slightly different, Rajdeep. After all, India is a country with a huge population, 1.35 billion people. There is nothing wrong in a small percentage of this population, small percentage of competent and well-accomplished population going abroad to the most developed countries, conduct them, settle down there, conduct themselves as productive, value-based, and model citizens of those societies, and raise the respect for India. My own view is these entrepreneurs, whether it is a Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella or whatever, or a professor like Manjul Bhargav or Srinivas Kulkarni, etc., they have added more to the brand equity of India than thousands of our foreign service officers. There is no doubt. That's a reality. So therefore, my view is there is nothing wrong in this. After all, many of these people who are working in large corporations or many of the entrepreneurs have started development centers in India. They have persuaded their corporations to start large development centers in India, whether it's IBM or Accenture or many of the Citibank, many of those, and they have created jobs for our youngsters. So my view is that there is absolutely nothing wrong in a small percentage of well-accomplished, value-based, Indians going and settling down and becoming brand ambassadors for India.
Mr. Murthy, technology is transforming all the time. Even in the years that you've been observing it, I'm sure there have been dramatic transformations in technology. The new buzzword, of course, is AI. And everyone talks about AI impacting the future, the careers, the lifestyle of people. How are you going to use artificial intelligence? How do you see artificial intelligence? Is it going to be a boon or a bane? Will it eventually result in job losses, as some fear? Why do I need so many people? I can use the machine. Or will it simply simplify life and make the quality of life better for millions of people?
Artificial intelligence or AI is about computing machines mimicking human thinking to automate any routine, deterministic, or sometimes, stochastic tasks or stochastic processes. Now, you're right. There is a fear whether humans will be replaced by machines. In some cases, they will be, like in the case of automatic trucks. You know better than I do, Rajdeep, that in the late 1800s, there was a fear in the UK that the whole of UK will be full of horse shit because more and more people were using horses to go from place A to place B. They said, what will happen? All the roads will be full of horse shit. But then came the automobiles. Similarly, if you remember, you won't remember, but what I'm saying is that if you would have read that in the middle 40s and late 40s and early 50s in the UK, the worry was, there were no automatic exchanges then. There, you lift the phone and then some operator would come online and you tell him, no, I want to speak to Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai's house, and then you would connect. So there was a big concern whether there'll be enough telephone operators in the UK. But what happened? Technology came and then digitals and then automatic switching came first and then digital switching came. So and then there was, if you remember, in 1971, there was a huge strike in Britain when banks tried to introduce automation. They all employees went on strike. No, we lose jobs and this and that. But today, banks have expanded. Without computers, banks cannot operate. There'll be no reconciliation without computers. ATMs are there. So technology makes the life of human beings better and better. Now, my own view is that this is where, countries, governments should introduce or should bring together, intelligent people like you who understand, who are in touch with the society, and then say this technology is going to come to India in the next 20 years. How do we prevent loss of job? What kind of new mechanisms can we introduce so that we can leverage these technologies without our people losing jobs? That is where you need foresight. That is where you need intellectuals, even in a country like India, whether they are right-oriented, center, left, it doesn't matter. You have to bring them, you have to respect them, you have to give them pride of place, and then say, please sit down. Tell us that this, what technologies are coming to India in the next 15 years, 20 years, and what solution we have. I think that is the way to solve these problems.
So we just have a couple of more minutes. One of the questions that has come in is, do you have any, from Tanisha Singh, is there any book that you would recommend for the young to read as an inspirational book? Any book that you that inspired you in your life?
You know, there were 3 books that have inspired me. First, of course, My Experiments with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. Second is Max Weber's Protestant Work Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, or whatever it is. I'm a great Weberian. I believe in Max Weber. And the third is, I read it in French. It's called Peau Noire, Masque Blanche. That means black skin, white mask. This is written by a French doctor. Of course, he died in late 60s, called Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon was an Algerian doctor who fought for freedom from France in Algeria. But then he was disappointed when the Algerian politicians took over. And he has written about how the local elite, the powerful and the rich behave in a post-colonial society. That's why it's called Peau Noire, Masque Blanche. Black skin, white mask. So I think these are the 3 books that have influenced me quite a lot in my philosophy, in the way I lead my life. I want to play a short, a small, sorry, song.
Yeah, why don't you play that song, sir? Then I'll ask you a final question after that.
Yeah, because this all panelists. Okay, wonderful. Can start sharing. Okay, let me see. Just a minute. Just a minute.
No problem, sir. I think the students will happily wait.
They're very kind. 1 minute.
इंसाफ की डगर पे बच्चों दिखाओ चल के, ये देश है तुम्हारा, नेता तुम ही हो कल के।
इंसाफ की डगर पे बच्चों दिखाओ चल के, ये देश है तुम्हारा, नेता तुम ही हो कल के।
दुनिया के रंज सहना और कुछ न मुंह से कहना,
दुनिया के रंज सहना और कुछ न मुंह से कहना,
सच्चाइयों के बल पे आगे को बढ़ते रहना,
सच्चाइयों के बल पे आगे को बढ़ते रहना।
रख दोगे एक दिन तुम संसार को बदल के,
रख दोगे एक दिन तुम संसार को बदल के। इंसाफ की डगर पे बच्चों दिखाओ चल के, ये देश है तुम्हारा, नेता तुम ही हो कल के।
अपने हो या पराए सबके लिए हो न्याय,
अपने हो या पराए सबके लिए हो न्याय।
देखो कदम तुम्हारा हरगिज न डगमगाए,
देखो कदम तुम्हारा हरगिज न डगमगाए।
रास्ते बड़े कठिन हैं चलना संभल संभल के,
रास्ते बड़े कठिन हैं चलना संभल संभल के। इंसाफ
इंसानियत के सर पे इज्जत का ताज रखना,
इंसानियत के सर पे इज्जत का ताज रखना,
तन मन की भेंट देकर भारत की लाज रखना,
तन मन की भेंट देकर भारत की लाज रखना,
जीवन नया मिलेगा अंतिम चिता में जल के,
जीवन नया मिलेगा अंतिम चिता में जल के, इंसाफ की डगर पे बच्चों दिखाओ चल के, ये देश है तुम्हारा नेता तुम ही हो कल के, इंसाफ की डगर पे बच्चों दिखाओ चल के, ये देश है तुम्हारा नेता तुम ही हो कल के।
Well,
And Mr. Murthy, I think the song says it all.
yeah, That's
It's
what,
truly inspirational.
yeah.
It's
You know, this is
inspirational.
from Ganga Jamuna.
Yes.
I'll tell you the story of this. I was a pre-university student in 1961-62, and we had a wonderful Sanskrit professor. And we were holding a party for our teachers on the last day of our school. And we had told him, we want you to give a speech and advise us how we should conduct ourselves. So he had brought his LP player. Those days there were only LP. So he brought his LP player and played this song. And he said, I don't need to tell you any more than this song. So this is 60-year-old for me. So when the youngsters asked me that they wanted me to give some advice to them, I said, what more can I say than this song? That is it.
So this song is your message in a sense to
Yeah.
budding young entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Do whatever you want with truth, with an element of justice, compassion.
Yeah.
Those are the finer qualities. I just want to link it as we conclude, Mr. Murthy. Someone asked me this question. I think a young lady, Ms. Bansal, has asked, how does Mr. Murthy balance his personal and professional life? Your wife is a very successful author. You've been an iconic entrepreneur. How does the younger generation, what is your advice to them to balance the personal with the professional?
Perhaps I'm an atypical Indian in that sense. My view, Rajdeep, this may be contrarian, this may be heretic, but my view is a few generations of Indians, we have to work 20-hour days, like there is no tomorrow. Probably 5-6 generations of Indians. That is the only way we can make this country a nation that will satisfy the dreams of our founding fathers. They said they want to create a country where the poorest child in the remotest village has decent access to education, healthcare, nutrition, shelter, and hope for the better for itself and its progenies. That's what the founding fathers of Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Rajendra Prasad, all of them said that. But for that to happen, Rajdeep, I feel that we should forget about our comfort. We should work 20-hour days. But that is how we will sacrifice so that our grandchildren and their grandchildren will be better. So I am not a believer in so-called work-life balance. I will tell you a story, Rajdeep. This is somewhat humorous. We had an excellent head of HR called Hema Ravichandran.
Yes, I know her.
One day, some youngster went to her, and Hema knew my philosophy, and she had bought into it also. And this young man asked, what is your view on work-life balance? So Hema told him, 50% of the time you should work, 50% you should sleep and enjoy it all. So he said, so you're quite happy that 50% of my time I could enjoy and all of that. He said, no, first 50 years work hard and the next 50 years you relax.
So the work-life balance is 50 years of hard work.
Yeah.
And then you can have 50 years of relative
That's right. That's
relaxation.
my view, Rajdeep. I am somewhat heretic in this, but that's my view.
I think that view will echo among the students. You've been truly inspirational, Mr. Murthy, for a number of generations, and I'm sure the young students of SRCC have benefited enormously from your presence here today. I just want to hand it back to Yagya for a vote of thanks. But as always, a pleasure talking to you. Your lively mind and your youthful energy suggests that you are still very much 18 or 21. And I hope that we all remain young like you, young at heart and full of ideas. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thanks a
Murthy,
lot
for having me here today.
Well, you light up our drawing rooms every day with your extraordinary reporting, extraordinary anchoring, and you enhance our confidence in our democracy. For that, we are very, very grateful. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you on Monday night.
Yes, sir, Monday. It's my job. 50 years of work. I'm still only in year 33. I'm in year 33. So I've got 17 years. In my introduction, they said 26 years. Actually, I've completed 33. So 17 more to go, sir.
Yeah.
17 more to go. But back to you, Yagya.
Honorable Murthy sir, thank you so much for sharing your journey that led Infosys to become the benchmark of excellence globally. It has truly inspired many budding entrepreneurs to take charge of their dreams and set up their own ventures. Your insight on rising importance of artificial intelligence and the viewpoint on Indian education system has opened up a new perspective for us. And thank you for playing that lovely song for us. Being a youngster, I can say that we take inspiration from people like you. We'll work hard and will take our great country to even greater heights. We thank you so much for such an engaging and thoughtful session. Would also like to extend our thanks to Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai for making this session extremely engaging and engrossing.
Yeah.
So your input was truly valuable and indispensable for the attendees. We thank you for being a part of this session and asking important and new questions that reflect the core topics we all are affiliated and affected by. It's an honor to have you both here. It was an honor to listen to both of you talk about important issues. And we are deeply inspired.
Yeah. Rajdeep can make a very ordinary person look acceptable. So that is all credit to him.
No. Let's. It's just a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Murthy. I would much rather talk to Mr. Narayana Murthy than any politician in the country. Because when you speak to politicians, more often than not, you get depressed. When you speak to Mr. Murthy, you get inspired. So that's the difference. Thank you. Thank you, Yagya, again. And to the entire team at SRCC, God bless. Happy Easter.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir.